Interviews with business owners and veteran executives who share their wisdom and expertise to help you de-stress, free up time, and make more money. Profits of IT. Welcome back to the Profits of IT. I am Jim Punzenberger, your host, the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. If you're looking to generate new clients or partners with creative outreach and short-form content, be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com. And I have Channing with me today. He has surprisingly played tennis at Wimbledon, and on top of being a fan of the Eagles, he's a fan of the Miami Dolphins. I guess I'll even say that even though I have a cheesehead sitting behind me. We can still be friends, though.
I appreciate that, Jim.
Channing, please introduce yourself and tell us a quick bit about what you do in the industry.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate you having me today. Well, when I'm not spending time with my family, which is the most important, I'm an avid golfer, and one of my new passions, well, I shouldn't say new in general, but I'm also a fan of the shooting sports, and my new passion in that realm is actually sporting clays, which is like golf with a shotgun.
You actually are singing to the choir, or preaching to the choir, not singing. You're preaching to the choir. Sporting clays is pretty much my number one favorite activity, I guess, that you can do all year round.
Yes.
So I'm big into hunting, but that can only be done part of the year. So sporting clays allows it to be done all year.
Exactly. And again, my name is Channing Applegarth. I started in the industry after the short career in the Air Force in 1992. So I have a little gray up there, as you can tell. And I've worked in a lot of different arenas, from training to support to being a sales engineer and architect. And I was fortunate enough to find my passion, which is working and building partnerships for organizations. So that's what I focus on. And I'm a director of channel partners at NAC Group in St. Petersburg, Florida.
So what would be something interesting about yourself outside of work other than you like demolishing clay?
Well, again, it seems like besides family, the golf kind of ties up the majority of my time. If I'm usually doing one of those three things.
Cool. So shifting back to business now,
Sure.
What would you say is your superpower when it comes to business, and how did that come about?
I'm going to say it's partnerships and sort of building and maintaining those partnerships. And it came about, I guess, by working in the industry, whatever it might be, whether it's networking or part of a security group, troubleshooting, or bid desk. Typically, you're working with some other vendor outside of your company. And so I just sort of like the idea of fostering those partnerships and relationships and building them. And so I was fortunate enough so far to make a pretty good career from it.
Cool. So, and any tips on one is looking to develop partnerships and what they might do to be successful in this arena?
Sure. And obviously, we're going to have a high level. I was just sort of thinking about it in bits and pieces. And the first thing is sort of understanding, maybe some partnership types that you would come across. So traditionally, you may be working with folks that are reseller, and that could be a reseller of your product or service. And then you have a team approach for those folks where they're typically you would provide some type of discount if they were consuming your service, or if you happen to be consuming theirs, you would expect some type of discount for positioning those opportunities. And then you have other types of vendors or party types, if you will. And I kind of group MSPs and service integrators together, even though obviously they're
providers.
Yeah. So, typically, obviously, they're going to create some type of service and then perhaps bundle in your offering, or vice versa. And then the service integrators, in those scenarios, maybe they run the whole thing as a managed service for a company that just wants to have another avenue, or maybe they're a mid-sized company or small company and they just don't have the wherewithal to have those skill sets internal. So they would turn to an organization to manage that, whether it's the IT infrastructure itself, or maybe it's just procurement, a variety of different things. And then you can have the service integrators. Typically, I think of those folks as really trying to, maybe they're taking two different products, putting that together, wrapping some services in, selling that as a bundle, if you will. So that's what I think of with those types. And then you, of course, have the hybrid organizations, which everyone wants to kind of label these types of partners. And, a hybrid is probably the most predominant because they're doing a little bit of all of those things, plus other things that we didn't really talk about. So focused on procuring and all sorts of other things that may be a part of that overall solution set. That's what I think of. And then, of course, the last type is, I'm just going to throw some out there, is what I would consider a referral partner. So either you would act that way for, if you're working on an opportunity and you say, listen, these folks need something in the realm of furniture, and I don't do that, I would be able to say, okay, I'll refer to company X, Y, or Z. And then, of course, the inverse happens where, folks that may be in that business say, that's great, I don't really focus on data center, and you assist in the data center and we'll refer back. And then, of course, you'd have some type of small payment there for that process. That's what I just kind of think of, just looking at the different partner types. And of course, it's critical to think about those because the steps and processes are different for each one.
Got it. Any other thoughts around this?
Well, from that point, if you sort of focus now on kind of like what the next step would be once you identified what type of partner that you're working with, then it's like, okay, what are we going to do with this? How are we going to build the partnership? How are we going to move forward? And I think that, I kind of classify that as falling on the realm of sort of creating the story or the offering, if you will. And so to do that, you kind of have to think about, what does this partner do best? And again, obviously this can flow in either direction, either a partner that you need for an offering yourself, or perhaps a partner that you're hoping that would sell at your offering, whatever the case may be. But the key is to understand what your partner does best, and then how that maps to your own skills or offerings, whatever they may be. And then from there, you can start to think about, okay, well, what is a good partner to me? And then once you sort of figure out what that is, then obviously you're focused on things like, let's build a joint story. Does it make sense that we can create a joint solution together based on this story that's natural? And the reason I say natural, because that the whole building of the story has to be, or offering has to be, beneficial to both parties, right? Because if it's one-sided, you're probably not going to have success in that realm.
Got it. Any final thoughts?
Well, I guess some key things are just establishing trust in the partnership, just like every partnership, whether it's with our family members or friends, it all comes down to establishing trust, right? So you have to have the honesty, and what I mean is doing whatever it is that you say you'll do. So that's critical, right? It's not exactly rocket science for folks, but those are things that sometimes are forgotten, or just don't have a proper focus in when you're working with partners. And so you have to realize that a deal from a partner, or perhaps you're bringing one to them, those deals themselves are going to come and go, but that partner relationship can represent many deals. And so you have to make sure that you're doing what's right for the partnership to be successful in the long term. And again, that really is critical to have open communication, not only when things are going well and everybody's high-fiving you about this opportunity that you just won, but also thinking about, you have to be very open when something bad happens from a scenario where maybe we used the wrong shipping vehicle or whatever it may be. But just being open and communicating those issues up front as quick as possible helps to establish that trust in the grand scheme of things.
Got it. So we got networking moment. Who should be reaching out to Channing, and why should they be reaching out to you?
Sure. Well, I've been, as I said, the industry for a long time. I'm always interested in creating partnerships and networking with folks. And from a NEC group standpoint, we've been established since 1997. We're known in the industry for component franchising, brokerage, and design services. But a couple of years ago, they started an IT division, which is where I'm helping them grow and leverage new sets of partners and partners that we have. And really, from an IT perspective at our company, it really focuses on literally the internet of everything, if you will. So everything from cabling to audio-visual to tablets to data center projects. So again, the focus for us is, solution focused to build those strategic partnerships with our customers.
Got it. And what would be a good way to reach out to you if somebody was looking to get in contact with you?
Sure. You can reach out to me. My email is channing.a@nacsemi.com.
Great. We'll also include information in the show notes.
Perfect.
It's been wonderful having you on here today. My
Thank
pleasure. And hope you have a great rest of your Friday.
Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Until next time on the Profits of IT, I am Jim Punzenberger, your host, and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. Be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Profits of IT. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and share.